I think we're going to start here. This is going to be the 2Fools podcast episode for the Cyberpunk game that came out pretty recently. Let me try this. I got my kazoo here. God, I hope this isn't too loud. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
If I'm going to put my money one way or another, I bet it's too loud.
Nope, it's not picking up on my... Okay. I'll just have to edit it in later.
No. We got to use it. The noise gate.
That's not the tune. Hold on.
The noise gate ate 80% of the first one.
We all heard with like a...
So we just heard the breath in, like 2 seconds later.
Oh my god.
Which I would be fine with that being the intro. Logo.
Yeah.
And then...
I think that works. I think that totally works. Fuck it. That's all I need.
Less is more.
Best $5.99 I've ever spent.
Nice.
We haven't introduced ourselves.
We
right?
haven't introduced ourselves. That's
Or
totally
you
right.
introduced us.
Right. Hello. I'm Ryan. I'm here with my buddy Ian.
I have coffee.
He's got coffee. We got Bryan.
Mommy Milky.
Wow. And in spite of Bryan, we have Matt.
I can't find my socks.
Oh, dude, that's a bad scene. You gotta find your socks.
Okay,
Nice and toasty.
quick context. God damn it. Quick context for the mommy milky thing.
No. If you have to explain it, the joke isn't funny.
But okay, fine.
I think I'll find it funny either way. You said mommy milky with no context.
Fine.
So Cyberpunk actually came out, you guys. It didn't get delayed again.
A popular
And
joke
could
is that it
any
should
of
have.
us
It should have.
could
It
any
probably
of us
should have.
ever have predicted the shit show that it is right now though?
It's
I mean,
yeah.
You don't surprise delay a game for a year because everything's going swimmingly and you got it all under wraps. Like
Halo.
They also weren't being very transparent about the issues that they were dealing with whenever they kept delaying the game.
Yeah, when they
Yeah.
delayed it, they said one of the reasons why is because they're developing for 9 different systems. So all
Which
the
Yeah.
all the
hard.
previous gen consoles, the new consoles, PC, Stadia, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
so
Stadia.
yeah, exactly. So
that's right, that exists.
yeah.
Thanks
So
for the gentle reminder.
like I
Stadia.
do not envy them for their task that they had, and it's kind of like all the, when looking back on it now, I feel like you kind of see all the writing on the wall that we
Yeah.
didn't really message or see ourselves before, because
Mm.
I mean, I think it's just because it's like, oh, there's all these delays, this and that, but everyone just had such goodwill with CD Projekt Red that we didn't think that anything like this would ever really happen. And now,
I was
It's kinda
blinded by the
like-
love goggles.
yeah, the rose tinted glasses, yeah. And so now, because a lot of us used to always think of CD Projekt Red as this kind of like big budget kind of rebel gaming
yeah.
studio that, you know,
Lately,
it's
absolutely.
for the players and all that, and but now it just seems like management is a lot more just like any other AAA company out there
like
now. pretty much.
it seems like, at least with 2077, they're doing the AAA studio thing of, well,
Exactly.
maybe
Ball
Yeah.
dropping.
yes, the like Anthem thing of like, this game seems to be doing so many different things at once. I bet, like, how much of this is a result of like management decisions, like mismanagement, versus just crunch culture, I guess, in general, of crunching people never really makes a game better
Mhm.
and burns people out. I guess there's, when we're talking about Cyberpunk, we can talk about crunch all day until the Delamains come home. But
Oh no, Matt dropped. He'll be back, I'm sure. There he
Goodbye,
is.
Matt.
Okay.
but
I was gonna say that
yeah.
as the saying goes, a camel is a horse designed by committee. and there is so much stuff in this game. It's
great.
it's like they competed to add features into this game, and as a result, it is unbelievably cluttered. There is just so much shit at any given time. They're just like, oh, okay, there's like 2 quests above me. There's 3 quests to my left, 7 quests to my right, and it just keeps going. Like,
Okay,
here's Padre on
some
the
of that-
phone, and then Regina also wants to text me. It's just overwhelming at a certain point. There's a lot of detail, both unnecessary and too necessary.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, before we
Yeah.
get
Like
to...
I praise it for its detail, but
Yeah,
it's also
yes.
like
Before we start talking about, before we just list all the little problems we had with it, Ian.
Should we talk about what we like about the game? I'll start with, I was actually surprised with how the gunplay is. I was actually I was expecting the
surprisingly
gunplay to be
responsive.
very Fallout feeling, but it actually feels like, it's not no fucking like Doom or like Call of Duty or anything, but it's definitely like, in terms of like an open world RPG, the shooting definitely feels like actually pretty good. Like a lot of the guns feel a lot different from when I use them. There's like actual recoil patterns, and some guns are really hard to control. Some are really pretty easy to control.
you ever get
And-
the Carnage shotgun? That huge, just chunky, blah, shotgun.
Is that
No.
the semi-automatic one?
It might be. I don't know. It was just this enormous piece of metal that would just blast people down. It was brutal. It reloaded like Magnum shells, basically.
No, I haven't gotten that one.
That's a pretty good
But yeah,
one.
I mean, I like the shooting. I have yet to find like a sniper rifle for some fucking reason.
Same, yes.
But
I
started-
found 2.
I started finding
there's
them.
there's one that you get from a quest line that's really good.
I started finding them after, actually not after, but in a story mission where you have to deal with snipers.
mhm.
And that's the only places that I found sniper rifles. And also, as far as I can tell, there's no skill tree perk anywhere dealing with sniper rifles.
Mhm.
They scale with rifles.
Oh.
Snipers scale with the rifle skill line.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Because I remember all of those perks being assault rifles and submachine guns. I don't remember them applying to sniper rifles, but I am also partially blind. That's not true, and that shouldn't be a joke. I'm not partially blind. I'm figuratively blind and totally blind.
Metaphorically blind.
Metaphorically blind. Okay, real fast.
Me saying that out loud, I'm now second guessing if that's actually correct. Let me look that up really quick.
Sure.
Let me boot the game and figure it out. Real fast.
Yeah,
Is
let
there
me
a
boot it
flashlight
up on my
button?
Microsoft Surface.
Or
No,
like,
I don't think there is a flashlight
No.
or
button.
like a night vision button or
No,
something.
dude, like there's times where I'm inside like a really dark like hut or like building, and I'm just like I instinctively want to hold down like B on my controller and turn on like a Pip-Boy light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
same.
Like the doing the quests out in the boonies at night
Uh-huh.
is like, it's so fucking dark. I
Really?
literally can't see anything. Is there a brightness slider in the video
I think
settings?
there should be. That'd be sick. But I mean, like,
I couldn't for the life of me find it.
oh really?
Yeah.
For me, I don't know if it's attributed to you because I play on a 4K TV that has HDR.
Hmm.
And so when I'm in my menus, like it says it's either left stick or right stick. It says press left stick or
Yeah,
right
you
stick
can-
to pull up HDR settings.
You can adjust the whites and the blacks.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean that helped a little bit, but still, but even it's HDR settings. So when you adjust like, you can't adjust like darkness, you only adjust like light for some reason, but that
Yeah,
also
you
in
can
tandem adjusts darks. So in the end, it actually just makes dark areas even darker because HDR makes shit dark.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could look around a little.
I was in a gig. There's a side gig from, I assume, Regina. I think it was
Yes,
in that
and-
first area. It's a room and there's a dude on a table, like a Ripper table, but there's no Ripper dock. And it's like, find my medicine or something. And the quest indicator has you go to a corner of the room and a red light will show up. But prior to that, it is so dark in the room that it was really hard to just like see anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume, I don't know about the outdoor stuff, but I think some of the indoor darkness can be intentional. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 suffered from a lot of the same darkness can be way too much at certain points.
Yeah.
I think that might be a consequence of the lighting engine, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think I've read some things where I haven't looked into it, but I think I've just seen some articles about people talking about how the HDR in Cyberpunk isn't like 100% like accurate or real HDR. So
I've heard a lot about colors getting washed out as a result of certain settings, which I think I might have been HDR, but I'm not certain.
yeah, I've seen like pictures, or it was like the first week the game was out. People were
You
like
have an
posting
HDR
this.
TV, right, Ian?
Yeah, I have a LG OLED. I saw this one picture like making the rounds on Twitter where it was like a PC. It was a screenshot of you inside Dexter Deshawn's car, and you know he's like smoking, and you're in the back of his car, and he's giving you that one like main mission gig in the prologue. So Jesus, you guys hear my fucking cat?
Yeah.
I think I heard him barely.
Oh, I was listening to the podcast, our last one, and I heard him meowing in the background. I was like, God damn it, Pip. But it showed like a PC like screenshot and like an Xbox, I think Series X screenshot. And like you could tell like one was a PC and one was like the Series X. But it wasn't like, oh, one's like graphically like such higher fidelity. One was the PC one just had like a lot better like darkness settings, and then the other one was just way too bright, and so it looked all washed out. And I was like, this isn't really accurate of what the two versions look like, because and everyone was like, oh my god, the Series X version looks bad too, and I was like, no, it's just like whoever took that screenshot like didn't adjust their HDR settings, and it looks like ass.
Consoles are getting downright competitive nowadays. The Series
yeah.
X actually
also
performs
think that-
really well.
No,
It does.
but like whoever took that screenshot for the first one, I don't blame them, because the way the HDR settings are, like the setup for the HDR settings, first of all, it's like hidden. Like I said, you had to be in your options, and like I feel like lots of people are gonna miss like, oh, click right stick for HDR settings. It's like then it pulls up a different menu, and then when you're in the menu, the setup is it sucks. It doesn't go, oh, okay, adjust this until you can barely see this image anymore. That's most HDR setting stuff. It's not like that at all. It's like you just move around some sliders, and it just cycles between two different like screenshots of the game, but it doesn't tell you like what it's supposed to look like. It's just, so I had to go online and go, all right, what are the best like HDR settings for like an LG OLED on Cyberpunk? And then after I did that, then it started looking better.
And you're playing on Series X, right?
I'm playing on my Series X, yeah.
It's rad that you were able to grab a new console. That's sick.
Yeah, I got lucky. I mean, the game runs really well on the Series X.
Once it patched, it started running better on my PC, and I by no means have like a top end PC, but like dropping below 25 frames in the boonies when combat was happening made doing Pan Am's quests like not kind of hard, but luckily enough, like, but those are the areas where I'm just like, you know what, shooting makes me feel like I'm gonna hurl. I'm gonna switch to the arm swords.
The mantis blades.
And I just arm sworded everybody, which felt nice, because I think shooting would have gave me motion sickness in a non-VR. It's sitting in my chair, I think.
Every now and then your dude will just kind of lean against corners when like I'm not doing anything.
Well, if you aim down sights anywhere near a corner, he'll do the lean.
Oh,
he'll do that smooth criminal lean. Yeah.
Smooth criminal lean.
Yeah, he's leaning real far forward and then aiming down his sights. No, he's not. He's leaning behind a corner. I think I'm not really using guns. I'm not huge into the shooting myself for some reason. I got a katana, like an electric katana called the Scalpel, as a result of a quest. And like
Oh, I think I have that one. I just haven't like equipped it. I think I just put it in my weapon stash.
it's
The-
pretty good. I started
The joke
investing in swords.
At the end of that, the joke at the end of that, it's the Parks and Rec. No, not Parks and Rec. It's the Office joke. A Japanese surgeon who accidentally kills a yakuza boss.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've never seen that, but that's what happens.
Like he runs away to America. Yeah,
And
I've heard about that.
And he gets a job from like an office manager or whatever. But
I'm doing all right with swords. I have like a perk that gives me 30% faster attack speed with blades, I believe.
That's a like a must for that skill tree for sure.
Yeah.
So putting points into reflexes increases your sprinting speed, which is really nice because
Show him your hole.
because without that sprinting speed, it can be really hard to close the distance on some of these guys because like the more powerful enemies who can like one bang you with a shotgun or a revolver, like the way I would deal with them is I just like sprint up to them, just hit them with a power attack to stagger them, and then just fucking hit them with the slam chop. But when I realized that I needed to sprint up to them, like I tried doing that with a different character, just trying to melee rush people, and I just got mulched because I couldn't cross the gap faster than they could reload, and it's there's kind of an interesting feel to the different playstyles.
Yeah, I like the sword because you just eventually just beat him up enough until you knock him down, and then you just keep cutting. Like, there's something satisfying about just completely mulching a person with your sword.
That's something
just wait till you get the mantis plates.
That's something that I do really
man.
appreciate
Like,
about.
I'm gonna
the game.
get the gorilla arms.
Gorilla Arms is under body, the tab Street Brawler. Those are considered blunt weapons.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
So they will rely on a different tree.
I'm a little bit into that tree. I know I got to do the beat on the brat unarmed stuff.
Man, the first fight for that being two people at the same time was a little bit of bullshit.
Oh, it kicked my ass the first time. I'd lost and I went back and I was like, all right, let's do this again. I've invested a little bit in this tree and I actually won.
How long have all of us played the game?
Steam says I've played for 13.9 hours.
It says I've played for 30.
I'm gonna guess around 50.
I think I have it here, Matt. It says 41.6. That's a long time. Goddamn.
I don't know. I think I've played like around maybe 10 to 12.
That's a good amount. Wait,
Maybe
so
maybe even a little less.
did all of us beat the prologue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I like Dexter. I think he has probably my favorite design in that game so far. But also, Johnny is cool too. It's hard to beat Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
That one
His
E3
character is very well written.
last E3 when he
amount of
came
the
on
characters are very
stage.
written.
When he announced
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk, they showed his
2077.
character in game, and then
That
Keanu
was the wake
Reeves
the fuck up
walks
samurai,
out.
we have a city to burn.
Yeah, and he walks out in a billow of smoke and fog, and I lost my mind.
Yeah, I watched it live. I was like, I lost my shit when I saw
Yeah,
it.
me too. I was watching it with
Were
a
we
group
watching,
of other
were we watching
people.
that together, Ian?
No, I remember I had another friend with me, but yeah, it was someone. It wasn't you though.
They announced a release date at that time. Did you know that Cyberpunk was slated to come out in April?
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like the scary thing about it because with how
Would've been worse than it is
terrible,
now.
with how terrible the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions are, it was originally slated to release back when fucking the new consoles weren't even going to be out for like another 6 months, and when 3080s weren't even a thing yet. You know?
Oh, right.
So it's kind of like, and I don't know if you guys heard about the most recent article about, it was during an investor call or something like that, and they took questions from actual developers who developed the game, and it was a bunch of developers just drilling into management about asking them like questions like, you know, what was with like these unrealistic deadlines and talked about crunch and shit, and they basically just drilled into them. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
I don't know how I didn't manage to find that, but man, that would be brutal. Investors meetings are always really rough.
Yeah, I can follow up. You guys can keep talking.
By the way, sniper rifles do scale with the rifles
Okay.
Oh,
and
cool.
reflexes. Yeah.
Got it. I think the driving could be better. Is it me or is it like halfway
you
between?
You have to use a controller. There's no if, ands, buts.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Yeah,
For me,
it
I was
feels-
surprised at how like it felt pretty good to me. Like I
No,
can
it
very
feels- it feels
easily
great.
drift around a corner like pretty
Are
easily.
you on a
But it feels
controller or keyboard mouse?
On controllers, I'm on my Xbox.
Yeah, controller is.
But
it
driving
feels
driving
way
has
better.
always felt bad on keyboard and mouse though. It doesn't really matter like what game it is. Like I can always recall me wanting to use a controller instead. So I just keep a controller on standby anytime I get like in a vehicle.
Like
I'll
what I
have
used
to
to
give
do
it
in
a
the
shot.
Battlefield days.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I would have a
That's-
controller plugged in on my PC, and then like anytime I hopped in like a jet, I would just pick up the controller.
Yep,
I-
exactly.
I never. That's so bizarre. I've never considered even using a controller for the driving, but I guess that makes sense because, like, man,
Do it. You'll thank me.
every single vehicle is really tacky, and then it has like this crazy handling. But I guess the handling would be for drifting, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Man, because like normal cars are just huge and bulky, and you just run into everything. I like the motorcycle because at least you have less surface area to run into stuff with. Plus, I
There's
think
a specific car model in the game I like a lot.
I got it to 170 on the. I think it was the Yaiba motorcycle. It's the one that looks like it's from Akira. I think.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
The second Wakako is like, I have this motorcycle. I was like, yes, buy it. It was like even 14,000, and I was like, I'm farming missions to get it. I want it.
Yeah, and I like how it's not terribly difficult to get money in that game. I appreciate that. That's a little easier to get cars with.
The Mizutani is the car that I like a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I found it.
That car handles really well.
I've stolen one of those once. I liked that when I drove it.
I wish there was. Hang on. Okay, so this might be another case of I just don't know how to play a game. But is there a way to like get a car and mark it as your car, like to take it? Like, do you have to drive
No.
it to your garage or something?
No,
or is
if you steal a car, that's not your car. You can't claim it.
Yeah. Okay, I
Damn.
found
like
the
real life?
I found the
Just
article.
like real life.
I found the article. It's Jason Schreier on Bloomberg.
Ah,
It's a Cyberpunk game maker faces hostile staff after failed launch. Let's see. Frustrated, angry staff fired questions at a board during an internal video meeting Thursday that opened with management apologizing to Cyberpunk 2077's disastrous launch. According to two people who were present, it was a fitting atmosphere for a company whose slogan plastered on all posters all around its Warsaw office is "We are the rebels."
because it's like there's no way a ton of people don't go to management when management says we're locking in this release day, it is going to come out. Like there can't be a shortage of people who are just like, hey yo, please don't fire me when I say this, but this is going to be a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Like there's no way there's just nobody around them saying no it's fine. Like there's no way that this is a surprise, right?
Yeah.
So somebody in upper management said this has to come out for Christmas, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Developers asked blunt questions about the company's reputation, the game's unrealistic deadlines, and the relentless overtime in the months and years leading up to the game's December 10 release date. I think one of them was... where was it? Oh, yeah. One employee asked the board why it had said in January that the game was complete and playable when that wasn't true. I remember that article. I don't know if you guys do.
They just kept adding to it, I guess. Oh wait, no.
Yeah. So
it,
because it was supposed to like come out in like April, and then they delayed it, but they like said something about like it being complete and playable. They just have to work out all the kinks, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
just like, hey,
then-
And so, but they said,
we're just
Some
bug fixing
pretty
at this
big
point.
Yeah.
fucking kinks.
yeah.
Well, some people,
One
I
employee
have to
said-
imagine that
Yeah, one
some people were
employee-
like adding like people were
Yeah.
fixing bugs, and other people were like, "Hey, what if we add this into the game? Or what if we add that into the game?" And then it just kept making the development cycle longer and longer, and then new consoles came out, and then they had to develop for those. It just sounds like a what's the term? Tragedy, comedy of errors, or something like that.
Another developer asked whether CD Projekt's director felt it was hypocritical to make a game about corporate exploitation while expecting that their employees work overtime. The response was vague and non-committal.
I saw someone take a screenshot
really
of,
good observation,
of like a codex entry describing the NCPD, and it started with "not all cops are bastards," and I was like, all right, Cyberpunk.
That's not very cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's not
Here's
very
an
cyberpunk.
observation. Getting street cred
Street
for
Fred.
helping Street Fred. Yeah, you know him. He's on the street.
Fraser.
Street Fraser.
Wait,
Getting street cred for helping out the police is basically an oxymoron.
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah,
you get less street cred for that.
You
Like,
would
but-
not get street cred.
But I mean,
But,
I guess you're just like a mercenary, so you don't give a shit who's giving you. the money.
But like going back to a game like Sleeping Dogs, where like the axis of how cool are you with the police versus how cool are you with the criminals was part of the gameplay and part of the story of doing your job, being a cop, put you farther away from the criminal elements that you're supposed to be cozying up with and make that stuff harder. So like there's no attempt to do that in Cyberpunk. So it's like they don't, like, you're not formally conscripted. You're not like, you don't sign up with the NCPD. There's none of that. You just show up because the NCPD don't want to. You kill the criminals, you loot the box, and then the NCPD wires funds into your account with no background check, no referral, no nothing.
It's
But,
a
like,
dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
But this is the segregation between theming and story elements. And
I don't
gameplay.
know. I think that works. I think as both
Okay,
theme and story.
So maybe what Cyberpunk the game is going for, as opposed to Cyberpunk the genre, I guess, because
Well,
Man.
it's that corporations have, like, they don't care about humanity. It's that they have completely stripped humanity of basically almost all human rights and have just forced them to consume, just buy everything. Like those ads. Those ads are awful. I hate them.
okay,
There's like
okay.
only there's one ad that I like seeing because I think the graphic design behind it is really cool. It's like
Is
a
it milk
kumquat. It's a kumquat drink.
Fucking beat me to it.
Oh, it's the face, the orange face.
Yeah,
I like
like
that.
the orange
That's all right.
face, like coming through like the kumquat juice, whatever you want to call it. But
That
it's
looks
actually like
all right.
really cool looking, and that's like that's like the only ad I'm like, that's actually like really cool. Like I love the art behind that.
I
one.
like that, but then, like, I don't know, God, that fucking, the image of the dude eating what appears to be a sandwich just covered in shit. It's so gross every single
Really?
time. It's awful.
I've
It's got
seen it
this,
a couple
like,
times.
awful, like, gooey dripping noise associated with it. Every time I see it, I'm like, ugh! I turn away.
I know, like I hope with some of the updates that come out, they come out with more ads. So like I'm not seeing the same fucking like MILF guard ad on every.
Oh God! And whenever that airs, it's so loud.
It's like,
it's like, oh my God.
it's just bombards you with just like moaning.
Yeah, you're stuck in the elevator too, so it's just
Oh, babe, I'm
forcing
not
it down
watching
your
porn, I
throat.
swear.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a game.
You ever seen that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin where they lock him up in the department store with all the TVs that are just playing porn, and he like and he's trying to like escape, and like that's how you feel inside the fucking the fucking
Modern
elevator when the
day-
milk cart comes on.
It's just No Nut November in a nutshell, basically. Those
Or the-
ads are awful, man.
The fucking I remember like one of the first ads I saw on the street was that the brain dance ad called Bottoms Up. It's the girl's like ass over the guy's face.
Yeah, and he's like, oh,
He's
what's
all
this?
excited.
Yeah. That shows up everywhere from
I
like,
remember I saw that, I
goddamn-
was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's funny. Like some of the ads, like I feel like are kind of funny, but some of them are also like very questionable too.
Yeah, some are just outright atrocious. Like, what the fuck are we even doing here? Why did
But
we
like
even put this in the
I
game?
mean, like, isn't that like in a way I understand, but that's kind of like the point. It's
yeah,
like they're meant to be
It's like-
fucking
Yeah,
terrible.
Provoking.
they're
Well, because
meant to be weird to
it's
us.
like sex sells in the modern era, like right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it's that taken
but
up to
it's
the.
gotten to that point where
It's
it's
taken
Yeah.
to the
Sex-
millionth degree.
Well, yeah,
sex is
like
no
that's-
longer taboo in society.
Yeah,
Like
but-
it's like
But that's also
it's
part
like-
of that's part
Go
of
ahead.
Cyberpunk as the setting, right?
Mhm.
It's that, like, for God's sakes, like, you have a burrito vending machine in your apartment.
I know.
Like there are vending machines in your apartment. There are vending machines flanking the entrance to your floor on either sides of the entrance. You're constantly being advertised to, sold to. You're constantly expected to buy stuff, look at stuff, like experience stuff. Like the drop boxes to sell stuff are everywhere, right?
Yep.
So it's like that's a part of the setting and that's a part of their lives. They don't remark upon it. This is normal to them. So when we see it, we say, wow, this is aggressive and this is weird. We're supposed to notice the difference. Like
Mhm.
we're supposed to see that gap. We're supposed to think it's weird. It's normal to them.
Yeah, totally. I
Milf.
remember Milfgard by today.
Mhm.
I remember remarking on the burrito machine with Bryan when I was first playing the game. I think you told me about it. And I was like,
It struck me immediately. I was just like, huh.
I was like, you know what? That maybe wouldn't be so bad. Every now and then, just be like, oh, burrito time. Let's buy a burrito because
Hey,
there's some
not
sort
for
of
$5
burrito
fucking dollars,
gremlin in
bro.
there.
Yeah. Some of the
I
ads
wouldn't, I wouldn't
don't.
shake a burrito.
Some of the ads don't like I understand like, oh yeah, some of the ads are like supposed to be bad. Some of them are just like, oh my god, like, and that's part of like, just the theming behind what corporations, how they are in that type of world. But they sometimes just go a little too like
little too
whack,
far.
I would
Too
say.
far.
Yep.
But I mean, there's like one with the guy with a gun in his mouth or something.
Yep.
And it's like some
Mhm.
sort of like, I don't know if it's like a medication.
No, that's. I
something.
think that's the point. Is like, what the fuck even is this? What is this advertising?
Yeah, I think it's like some sort of medication about like I don't know. It has some. It says something about like being corporate or something in it. I don't know.
I think,
But
that
it's also it's
does-
kind of like it's like I mean I understand like the theming behind it because it's like corporations are so out of touch that they'll literally like advertise and monetize suicide to
Yes.
try and get people to spend their money on them, and that's how like ridiculous the world of Cyberpunk is. But it's also kind of like, but there's some people that could actually get kind of triggered by
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Not triggered in a
so-
way mad, like
Yeah,
triggered
yeah,
as
yeah.
in like it
So-
could bring up bad shit in their head.
So-
Like yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is
And
it
I
touches on-
defended that, and I got
Yeah.
drilled on Twitter by a bunch of fucking like narrow-minded people. It was really funny.
Okay,
Really?
so-
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wow.
this touches on a little bit of a topic. It's called the Thermian argument, and Ryan's familiar with this.
No, yeah.
It's like it's distinguishing that's what makes sense in the world versus a human being had to write that and someone approved it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's ludonarrative consistency versus it's literally fiction. What's the
Mhm.
best way to kill a vampire? It doesn't matter. Vampires aren't real. Like
Precisely.
with the like someone had to make that and someone had to approve it, right?
Mhm.
And yes, the game is rated M for nudity and extreme capitalism and drugs
Customizable penises.
and not and two kinds of penises but only one kind of vagina. Like that's what the game is rated for. Yeah, right? We get it. Suicide is still a really, really dark place, and to make light of it like that is like
It's disrespectful. It's
should
terrible.
there probably should have been a content warning or
Yeah, exactly. And that's all it is.
yeah was
It
was
was
just
a-
hey let a boy know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's
it's
some
that simple.
touchy subjects in here.
And
Yeah.
it's that simple. And it's the guy I was agreeing with on Twitter. I follow him. His name's Mr. Negative. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but
Mr.
He does,
Lee,
like,
no!
he does a
That was a
he does
Spider-Man
podcast.
PS4 joke, by the way.
I did not catch it. I am sorry.
Mr. Negative? Martin Lee?
Oh, Mr. Negative. That's
No,
right.
but it's his name's his name's Mr. Megative, not
Shit.
with an M.
Never mind.
But-
I'm a failure.
Oh, what was I getting at? But yeah. So it was someone else who tweeted it, and then he retweeted and go like, "Hey, like CD Projekt Red, this kind of sucks ass. You know, like there should be some sort of content warning." And his not DMs, his fucking
Replies?
comments were just littered with people going like, "Well, it says rated M on the box," and it's kind of like, well, dude, it's like I understand that you might not be
But
offended by
Cyberpunk
this
is
kind
like
of stuff.
reaching into some areas that are like really tough topics.
Yeah.
Like it gets into like military veterans who are struggling with PTSD and how the government isn't really funding them and helping them and kind of throwing like stiff arming them in society, and how like these people go absolutely crazy and they lose their families, they lose their friends, they depend on drugs. Like, I mean, it talks about like a lot of like really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it gets into that and they present it well, it's good. But all we were saying was, hey, there should be some sort of content warning. And like, I mean, granted, I agreed with them, but I agreed with him in a snarky attitude where I did that like fucking, what's that term called? Where it's that SpongeBob meme
sarcasm.
where like, yeah, it's like that sarcasm one where every other word is like, you know, capitalized and uncapitalized, and I put every game but it says rated M on the box. And dude, people like I angered a lot of fucking e-boys on that Twitter. I was like, I have never gotten so many notifications on my Twitter.
Is this where the dude said the dumbass mommy milky thing to you on Twitter? Is this where this stems from?
That was completely separate.
Jesus Christ, people, get your shit together. Stop being angry. Christ.
Okay.
I was like, and I was like, I literally told him, I was like, and one of the guys was like tried arguing with me, and I was like, all right, I'll level with you. Now just like it's as simple as just literally just putting some sort of content warning, just like how Modern Warfare 2 did back in the day. With like, hey, there's one like level in here that's pretty fucking dark, and you can skip it if you want. And like it's that simple. That's all it is. And all it takes is one like, content. All it takes is like, hey, there's some like depictions of suicide in this game.
Sorry.
No worries. There's some depictions of suicide, and even better yet, be able to disable that one particular ad so it doesn't come up. It's so simple, and it's not gonna ruin your experience not seeing that ad if it doesn't trigger you. But people are so defensive over it. I don't get it.
You goddamn e-boys. Some people being able to selectively curate their gaming experience does not invalidate everything about yours.
It's the same people who don't want like an easy mode for Dark Souls and Sekiro. It's like my penis is so big that if I can't play this game, if you can play this game on an easy mode, my penis will shrink. Okay, it's the same type of people.
Video games are meant to be enjoyed.
The link I posted in the Discord, and this is entirely for editing purposes for Ryan to have it scrolling around in the background when we're talking about the rating, is the ESRB entry for 2077, the abstract, which is the thing on the back of the box that says rated M4. It says blood, gore, intense violence, nudity, strong language, strong sexual content, use of drugs and alcohol. That stuff,
but it doesn't talk about like suicide
it doesn't talk about the fact that suicidal ideation and intention and graphic suicide scenes are depicted in the game. It doesn't talk about that stuff, but in the big long list of everything that is in it, you guys might be able to see it. Of just
I'm reading it. I'm reading it right now.
Yeah, right. That just like that. They're not going to put that on the back of the box.
The last sentence in this is the words "fuck" and "cunt" appear in the dialogue.
I was
the most just about to say
that. Apparently, I was literally just about to say that. I was like, the first thing that popped out to me was like the words "fuck" and "cunt" appear in the dialogue.
Now, I will. So there's the option.
I take it you guys heard the point I was trying to make before my Wi-Fi dropped.
I believe so. Yeah, you're talking about just the heavy stuff that they do talk about in the game.
Mm-hmm. What were you gonna say, Bryan?
That there are settings in the game for nudity and gore.
Yes.
and I wonder what the game looks like if you
Turn those off.
toggle if you
So,
toggle those. If you
I
toggle those
I explicitly turned off my penis. So there's a scene in the beginning of the game, I think it's about 3 hours in, where you take a shower.
Yeah.
I was taking a shower like Ned fucking Flanders in my boxers. and you're looking down, so it's very plain. It's right there in front of you. So I assume that if you have a dick, it's just going to be right there.
It is right there.
Okay.
For me, that's how it's supposed to be. But I have an enabled penis, and I had boxers on whenever I was in the shower.
Oh.
So I was like, I think that's just a glitch. I'm pretty sure I'm actually supposed to see dong right here. But
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a second. There was a fix for that. V appears more modest in the inventory preview after the half-year montage.
Oh
that might be it then.
I think that was it.
But
I had a glitch around the first time. I think it was around that time where I think that might be it. It's like you wake up and like some of the optional like objectives before you leave is like grab ammo, grab a weapon, grab something to eat and stuff. And I was in my I was in the menu, like the inventory, and I was like equipping stuff, and I would like equip my pants, and then I would just be like naked, and I was wearing like a jacket with no pants, and I was running around with like no pants on, even though I still had my pants equipped.
There's a lot of those glitches as far as I can tell.
And every time I look into a mirror, I like the mirror activates, and for whatever reason, and none of my headgear is showing. So all my headgear is gone and my hair is gone, so my character's bald.
That's so weird.
Every single time. But I mean, it doesn't really matter because my character has like a buzz cut anyways. So, but
Yeah,
I
same.
mean, still, it's just kind of like.
Did we all
I made my character.
Yeah, I think we did.
I made my character Mexican with like a really sick ass handlebar mustache. It was awesome.
Nice.
That's pretty good. I like a good handlebar mustache.
Speaking of V, going back to something more positive, I think are you guys playing female or male? Are you guys all playing male?
Male.
I'm playing female V.
Okay. How's the female voice actor? Because I feel like the male voice actor is actually pretty good.
Oh, he's excellent. I like him a lot.
So the female voice actress, I like her a lot. But
isn't that the person that did Jack from Mass Effect?
I gotta look it up.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay, if you're gonna look it up, we don't need to both look this up. The female voice actress for V, I really like her, but the tone is mixed in some of the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone will say something to her really casually, and then she'll just get this like, you mean like this?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a weird tone change. Like they're taking lines from conversations and bringing them into conversations they weren't written for. That's what
I see what you mean. It's kind of like sometimes some RPGs have like, it's you saying like later or peace out to like a fucking like merchant or some shit, but it's just like it just takes from like a bucket of just like goodbye responses, and like some of them just don't line up at all with like just when you're talking to a merchant, I feel that. The thing that got me to notice the good voice acting was it's when you're talking to Vic after your coma.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's emoting that he's
getting
like
emotional.
Like he's stressed out that there's nothing he can do for
yeah.
I guess,
and
spoilers for
character of the year, Vic.
Not just a good voice, but also just very good acting.
Yes.
Yeah, like good, well acted. The character design on Vic, I think, is fucking excellent.
Yeah.
His
he's
voice
well acted,
like
well written, well designed. It's just super good. Like
I liked it when
like
you could grab a drink with him. That was really cool.
V's voice acting in that section, because he's like V's like really confused and scared,
he's like desperate,
and you could actually like hear it in his voice. For at least for the male version. I'm not sure how the female version was. But
it kind of breaks away from like the stoic nature of his character.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's showing some emotion, and you have no choice in the matter. V is fucking emotional right there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have no choice but to express that. And I like
That's the one thing I was worried about. I was like, I really hope the fucking voice acting is good, and yeah, they delivered on it with the main character. Because I remember I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now as well, and I started out the game as female, Eivor, and you can change between female and male at any time in that game, which I think is pretty funny. But I had to switch to male because I just didn't like the female's voice, because I feel like the female's voice actor was trying too hard to sound like tough because she was like a female Viking, you know. And then
what game?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But then like
I see.
The male Eivor that you play as, like he's not trying to sound tough. He actually has like emotion and like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like
machismo.
Like yeah, he's not like
Spunk.
I feel like the female one was always trying to sound too stoic, whereas like the male one was always like it's a lot more reserved in a lot more areas. And I think the male voices, and like I think the character design to the female version is way better, but I just think like voice acting like really changes it. So I'm glad that going back to Cyberpunk, I'm just glad it's fucking good, pretty much. But also the city too is really cool because it actually feels like you're in a fucking city.
I feel like this is the first actual rendition of a living city. The city in Night City looks great.
Yeah,
it always does. Like there's actual highways.
You know what it reminds me of?
Huh.
It feels a lot like the movie Dread. And
a little bit.
We just went outside the mega city, like Judge Dredd. Like
I
when
can see that.
I'm seeing these massive structures that are just habitations, just living arrangements, and I remember walking down the steps, and I thought this feels like the bit from Dread where they're standing in the doorway, and there's like homeless people, and it's the steps that go up into it, and the bottom floor of it is like shops, and it's this courtyard, and then there's just apartments all the fucking way up. And I remember just like, wow, this feels correct. This feels like the right way to have displayed this stuff. Like I like that there are just people fucking everywhere. Like I enjoy that it feels like this is a real place where people live. And it's like none of the voice acting I heard was downright bad. And there are places where there are ethnic actors speaking Spanish or speaking Russian, where they're conversing with someone who's talking to them in English, and they're talking back in whatever language they have. And when you're close to them, the subtitle above their head has to scramble from the Cyrillic or Spanish.
I like that.
I love that feature.
And I really, really like that a lot because they're using authentic actors for that. Like the Russian actor sounds Russian, like the
they're not just like, "Oi, I'm Russian."
They're not just hey.
I just sound like Sylvester Stallone right there.
Like talk with an accent. They found an actor who just speaks that language, and it feels like different kinds of people live here. Like the voice actor for a couple of the ethnic characters in the story are just people with accents, and the voice actors out in the open world are like Hispanic actors or Spanish actors or Russian actors. Like, and that felt really, really, that felt good. That felt authentic, and it felt like, all right, that's fucking rad. And,
maybe because then that means any language that you listen to, whether it's like Japanese, Polish, whatever they talk, or German, but there's also those people are also experiencing the same thing, because when they're going through those characters or NPCs or civilians, they're still talking in their native language. So it applies to everything instead of just, people in that native language that you listen to trying to sound like they're doing an accent in that native language that they speak. So
yeah. And maybe this is just, I felt so jazzed about that, like, kind of as a reaction to spending so much time with Jackie as a part of the beginning of the game. And man, I could probably do my own whole ass goddamn video on just Jackie, but
Me too, man.
But the parts of the story mission where you interact with these characters and you have ethnic characters, Jackie specifically is played by an actor. Then I guess it's chalked up to the way they're written.
A Hispanic actor.
Yeah.
You cut out for a second when you said that.
He's portrayed by a Hispanic actor.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I want to have the name, it is Jason Hightower, who is an ethnic actor who does a lot of cartoon shows.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also an extra in Red Dead 2. Nice.
Oh, nice.
But
Game of the decade.
Game of the decade, as voted by our podcast.
Yeah. But the way ethnic characters, I guess in general, are written, it's like, but this has always kind of been a problem, right? And we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast of that, like, they seem like how they should talk from the perspective of someone who only speaks English and doesn't speak with anyone who speaks more than one language. Young adult fiction is fucking riddled with this, but it just highlights to me the writing of those characters versus the writing of the like background extras. That's like, these people feel way better to me, and I'd like to imagine a version of Jackie or a version of Takamura or a version of Wakako, or hardly like any half of the story cast if they just got really good ethnic actors for those and just had them talk in Japanese or Spanish or Russian or whatever. Like how, and yes, to do the subtitle thing, the scrambling so that you could understand them, but we're already doing little narrative consistency versus thematic separation, right? Like, we're already doing that in V knowing things, being a person outside of us, that I think it would have been really powerful to like have V respond to them in English and them be talked to in these ethnic languages, and to maintain that V is a person outside of our control of them. But there's a lot of potential, but it's really easy to armchair develop, and after a certain point we have to stop, right? And say
Sure.
that like that there's a reason games are made in a very specific way, good or bad, better or worse, and all of that rambling to talk about how the ambient open world conversations are some of the most real to me as someone who speaks more than one language, and to have that be, at points it feels really wide and really deep, and at points it feels like it's only supposed to do very, very specific things. Like I will walk around a corner as the NCPD vehicles from a scene that just happened there despawn, and like the Maelstrom cars with them shaking somebody down, all of that spawns instantly right in front of me 20 feet away.
Yeah.
So some part of this feels really, really deep, and it's like there's a tiger mission where you go down to the slums to find somebody, and it's this like slum favela type deal on the other side of a canal.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and even all the way down there, there's like an arcade with a little bar, like down on the shorefront. So it's like the care went into how this place is put together, the way that different parts of the city feel, like a lot of effort, because this is fucking the Witcher 3 crew, right? So like they know how to do this. They know how to make this game. So it's even more baffling when stuff goes wrong, when I reload an area and all the enemies de-aggro, or when I get spotted by one person, kill him before he makes any noise, and the whole area now knows exactly where I am. Like this, there are games that do stealth better, there are games that do shooting better, but
so I'm just gonna
I put a
so that
silencer on
quest
my
you were talking
revolver and I
about?
was fine.
Sorry, what was that, Matt?
I put a silencer on my revolver and I was fine.
Oh, that probably worked out really well.
Stealth is very fun that way.
I did that quest. You're supposed to pick up a dude and lead him up a this flight of stairs, but there's like a billion tiger claws in the way, and I'm not a fan of stealth. If I'm playing this game, I'm going balls to the wall.
Really?
So
I-
I restarted that
I
quest.
think it's that. Yeah.
I restarted that quest
Go ahead.
like 5 or 6 times because I didn't realize you could drop the dude. And then as soon as I realized that, I was like, okay, I pick him up, I put him immediately back down on the ground again, and I just kill all these guys. And then I come back for him.
So, but I think this is about how
It's the way to play.
stealth
Yeah.
in Cyberpunk I don't feel like it's rewarding
No.
because
I agree.
because I can sneak around. I can put bodies in boxes, and I can jump up, clip on stuff like this is Morrowind. I can jump up and I can karate chop the camera to break it, and then I can sneak around and do all that extra shit. I can take 45 minutes to clear a room, right? Or
5.
I can do it in 5 minutes with a knife,
Yeah.
just fucking rushing
The
people.
fucking knife.
That's one thing
And the
I've
40
heard.
grenades that I have in my inventory.
Yeah. So it's like, why would I stealth versus just clearing the room, fast and loud? The game is not going to penalize me for going fast and loud. Like that risk reward. Okay, but what's the reward for, doing everything quiet?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just all personal preference and like
Yeah.
what you like in
Play
doing the
style and all
game.
that.
Because I like going in stealth because I think all the hacking shit in the game is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
There's one particular gig I did where I had to steal a van from I don't know if it was the Valentinos or Tiger Claws. There was like this little warehouse, and there's a van in there that I needed to steal. And I went through that entire warehouse by not killing a single person and not being spotted once. And I don't know, I just think I walked up to this warehouse and I saw there's like the entrance gate, and there's like 2 people guarding it. And I was like, well, I'm sure there's another way in. Kind of walk around the perimeter, find like an opening in the fence, and I'm able to hop through it, sneak around, I use like a camera, shut it down, stealth take out this one guy, get inside, stealth take out another dude, and use like, distractions with other quick hacks, and then get that guy. But then I'm like, okay, I see this door. There's like a fuck ton of guys right there, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through there without being spotted. Find a camera. I hack into it, look around, look through all the other cameras, and then I notice on one of the cameras, oh shit, there's a skylight open on one of the ceilings. So then I go back outside, look around, find some boxes to get me onto the top of the ceiling. I find that skylight. I drop down into the scaffolding, use some more distractions, and then knock out some other people. And then near the very end, I'm like, all right, there's the van. I've knocked out enough people. Go grab the van. And then I literally just speed out of there. And all the guys, the people that are still awake, they notice and like start shooting at me. But then I speed through the fucking gate. I think I accidentally clipped a guy on the way out. and then I just and drove off. And that, to me, like, yeah, I don't get like big XP bonuses or anything like that, but to me that was rewarding. I liked doing that.
Yeah, because that sounds cool as hell. Just putting it all together of like the game can allow and accommodate for lots of different styles of play. So maybe it's just me and my goddamn lizard brain that doesn't want to do that when I can just put everyone in the floor with a baseball bat.
I agree. I am right there with you.
I think it's just the Splinter Cell in me, because ever since I played Splinter Cell, I've always like tried playing games stealth. I love stealth.
Yeah.
Sure. I really want to talk about one glitch. I was playing Cyberpunk yesterday, and I had one glitch in particular that just made me lose my mind. So I was calling one of my cars, because you could just automatically call a car into you that you own, and it'll just drive up to you and be like, honk, honk, get inside. So I called a car up to me, and I see, like, I can see the meter indicator like 50 meters away, 45, 40, and I see it getting closer. And then it goes up to me, and then it stops in front of a car on the street, and then it starts driving away. And I'm like, wait, what? You can't leave. I'm supposed to be inside of you. So the car assumes the AI of a random street car, and it just started driving away. I'm like, what the fuck? I was supposed to get inside that thing, and it just fucked off without me. I couldn't believe it. It was some
Alright, I'm
cartoon
out.
shit.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things like that's been a criticism of the game as well is the AI isn't very good either. Like they improved on it with some of the hot fixes more recently, because it would be like you're fighting and like you're shooting people, but then like guys just kind of like stand out in the open,
Yep.
and while you just just fill them with lead. And
Yeah.
so the hot fixes that have come out have said that they fixed that and they'll take cover like more instantly whenever combat starts. But
I've
I
noticed
haven't
a
played
lot of
since
dudes
I haven't
just
played since
standing
that.
very
Yeah,
still.
I haven't played since that one. But it's not even just that in AI with combat. It's just normal like pedestrian AI. Like you'll stand in front of a car and they'll stop and then they just don't know what to do. They'll just stay there forever until you move. And
Yeah.
it's like
And they'll do that whenever you call your vehicle and you don't get to it for a while too.
yeah, and like they just don't know what to do. It's like but like Grand Theft Auto came out in 2013 and it's like you stand in front of someone's car like they fucking honk at you and like you hear them yelling at you and if you don't move they'll like get out of the car and like start talking shit to you or they'll just drive around you, you know.
Yeah.
And that game came out in 2013
Mhm.
and like I there's even things like if you could like get into a fucking accident with other people and like other people around will stop and get out of their cars. It's like but like a game in 2013 does that, but then in 2020 like that doesn't happen. And also lots of times like AI, like if you just shoot your gun in the air, like some people will run away and then some people just like infinitely just stand there and just like crouch and put their hands on their heads and look around and like they
Yes.
just don't move.
There's a
Something-
lot
it
of
just-
that.
It's if you raise your gun. So if you aim with your gun, like the AI usually doesn't react if you just have a gun out.
Yeah.
But if you point it, so aim down sight, it doesn't need to be at them.
Yeah.
Like that's when everyone reacts like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so and this is kind of like the thing where you know, it's obvious. It's kind of like I guess you could say in a way, a little bit of a way, it's kind of my fault because I tend to get hyped for video games, and obviously I was hyped for this one.
Everybody was.
But
Like
but I think
Everyone.
it was a matter of how they tried showing this game off before, because
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff from I don't know if you guys remember or seen that it was the very first 45-minute gameplay demo they dropped for this game. There's a lot of stuff
I
in that
watched for
game.
you, I remember.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this game that like had me hyped because it looked like a Red Dead Redemption 2, but in like a modern day, well, like a future like city. Because there'd be things where I remember it was that mission with Jackie where you try to recover that girl who's getting recover the girl from the scavs,
Mhm.
and then you take the thing, you find her in the ice bath.
Yeah.
Like it showed your character in a third person like
Oh, right.
cutscene, and then as like you guys are about to go in the gameplay, then it zoomed in. That's not in the game anymore. Granted, this is all pre-alpha footage, and they always say subject to change, which I get, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of fucking shit that changed and they took out.
I
So
would love some third-person stuff.
yeah, just to see that and
As
so you can see your character.
I like the idea. I like the idea of always remaining in first person. I remember like being younger and being a game of like certain instances where I'm like, oh, this would be really cool if like, you know, it would be very immersive if the game never left first person whenever you're, like, you're in dialogues and stuff like that.
Sure.
But there are just certain scenes like I don't know if you remember, I believe it was during that 45-minute gameplay trailer when they showed V and Jackie getting away from their heist and Jackie was wounded. And that whole cutscene was very powerful, being able to see like V interacting with Jackie. And it was very different this time around because whenever you're in that same sequence, it's all happening in first
Oh,
person.
I know what you're talking about. That was a cinematic trailer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a cinematic,
Yeah, that was just a cinematic trailer.
I totally agree, though. I think
But-
that would have been way more impactful if you could see both of
Yeah,
them.
but it wasn't even that. It was like it showed after you completed that mission, it kind of like does a thing where it fades to black and goes the next morning, and it kind of gives you the impression that you and Jackie went out and had a lot of fun with all the fucking eddies you made that day, all the money you did. And it shows a cutscene of the playable V in that gameplay trailer waking up to her one night stand leaving her apartment. She wakes up, and this is all in like cinematic cutscenes where you see your V wake up with like a fucking headache because she's hungover, and she gets up and brushes her teeth and gets like on clothes and stuff. And it's showing all this in third person, and this is like 100% like Red Dead Redemption shit. Like, I like, because a lot of people didn't like that fucking, oh, you can like, see Arthur walking around the camp and doing all this stuff, and I thought it was going to be a lot like that, but all of that was taken out. Like, none of it was in there. And
I think an option to be able to switch to third person would have been really nice. I think it would have added
it'd be
a lot.
cool. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll add it like
But
they did
I do like how it feels staying in first person. I think
it's
I
not
think
bad.
that I think it's very unique because it does like that. One of the things that I really praise about Cyberpunk is for the people who are able to keep the game working is the level of immersion that the game has. I really like how it feels like I really am a part of the world. And It's been a long time since I've been so deeply immersed into a game. And I think that's been done really well by the ability of you staying in first person the entire time. It really feels like I am playing as
Yeah,
the,
it gives a
whereas I'm not
discoverability.
watching it. Yeah.
I talked
So I
about this
do-
briefly in the last podcast where I talked about how Skyrim has that sense of like discoverability, and Fallout, like those Bethesda RPGs, because you're in
Totally.
that first person perspective and you're able to like look around and literally like, I mean, granted, it's not as good as like I would say like a Bethesda RPG, because Bethesda RPGs you can literally walk around and pick up literally fucking anything.
I think
Whereas
it's
like
pretty
in this
close.
one, it's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty close, but like in terms of interactivity, like you can't like pick up everything,
Sure.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think there are different freedoms in this game that the other game doesn't really have. But I think Cyberpunk ultimately, like, I'm starting to get into a mode where I'm enjoying playing this game. I think the prologue is kind of a bummer. Like, every time I booted up Cyberpunk, I'd play for an hour and be like, all right, I'm just going to play Apex. And eventually,
it
I did that
had,
enough.
like slow pacing.
Yeah, the pace is really slow, but eventually I did that enough until I beat the prologue, and then the game kind of opens up from there, and I'm like, oh wow, I can do anything now.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of my day yesterday playing Cyberpunk.
Yeah. They also took out the wall crawling that was shown in that fucking
What?
in
Wall
that
crawling?
gameplay. Yeah, previously in that 45-minute gameplay trailer, you could crawl on the walls with your mantis blades.
Oh, dude.
My god.
And then jump down and like assassinate people with your mantis blades. But
Oh my god.
I remember they already, that's not like, oh, that part's missing now. They actually said that previously.
Oh.
Like 2-3 months before the game came out, they were just like giving updates, but then they told like, yeah, unfortunately we had to take that out of the game because
What a bummer.
it basically just wasn't working.
God.
So
I would appreciate a little more like wall action for sure. Like, one of the favorite things that I like from Apex, a game I'm playing a lot, is your ability to be like to
shimmy up
jump,
walls.
Yeah, shimmy up a wall.
Yeah.
You jump to a wall,
Yeah.
you try to scale it a bit, and then if you make it to the edge, you can actually climb up it.
Yeah.
I would love that in Cyberpunk, because there's a lot of instances where it's like, man, I should be able to just climb up that wall, but I can't.
Yeah.
There's like a very minimal level of vaulting, and
It's there. It's just not very
maneuverability,
pronounced.
but it's not. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It's not very pronounced, and it's not also. It doesn't also seem like really consistent. There are some like walls where I'm like, I should definitely be able to grapple onto this ledge and get over it, but it just simply won't let me.
Yeah,
So-
I've run into that too.
That's kind of frustrating during combat and stealth sequences and stuff.
Sure, yeah. Also, like, have you guys run into a bunch of doors that are just like, or a bunch of quests where you run to a door and the door says, you need technical level 7 to get into this door, and the quest just won't progress without you having that stat. I've run into that like 3 or 4 times.
I haven't run
I've
into
run
it with like not allowing me to progress the story. Usually there's always like a different way around it, but
Sometimes there is.
Usually there's a walk around, yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
there is, and sometimes there just isn't. There was.
I haven't run into that.
So
Neither
my
have I.
character has a body of like 14.
Goddamn.
So there's a lot of doors where someone's like, all right, get past that door quietly, and I walk up and just like
Punch it.
my technical ability is 3. I'm just gonna break this door open.
Yeah. I have a body of 11, and yeah, I'm just like, oh, you need a body of 8 to get in here.
I
Like,
think
bitch.
I think my body's like 5.
Oh,
I have
Okay,
like
so-
so much. Granted, I haven't played that much,
Yeah.
but like my high
All my
stats,
points are in reflexes.
nice.
mine are in cool,
Yeah, cool.
technical ability, and I think intelligence.
So my character, like the main use I found for body was extra health, extra carrying capacity, because
Yes.
I am a goddamn
Porter.
Blue
niffler.
fiend.
Every single gun,
and
sell
I
it.
will just vacuum up everything
Yeah.
Mhm.
before I
Mhm.
move on from a battle, and I'll sell it all on my way to the next plot point. But I
You're
also got the
selling
perk
the
that's, like,
guns
extra
that you pick
60
up, and you
60
give them to
capacity.
other mooks, so you can
Yeah.
sell them again.
I'm Marcus at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Marcus Munitions.
Another thing that I also kind of this was like me, expecting a future Red Dead, so that is partly on me. But I mean, again, like they kind of showed it that way with that 45-minute gameplay demo. But also, when you're walking through an area like at night, and there's all of these food vendors everywhere that like sell like fucking ramen, or like there's one of like the people with like the freaking grills on the carts that are like making like shish kebabs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like I was hoping and thinking that like, oh, I can go up to like any one of these fucking vendors, get like a bowl of ramen or fucking like, or goddamn like, like skewer or some shit. But no, like you can't do any of that. Like most of the time you just walk up to like any vendor and it just says press X to talk, and you press X and they're like, what do you want? And I'm like,
How's your day?
like, what are you looking at or something?
And-
I'm like,
and
aren't
they-
you a
and
vendor?
they-
Shouldn't you be selling me food?
Yeah.
And they
But
all sell
like,
the
no,
same,
I was like, all right, fine, I'll just
things.
go buy another fucking burrito from a vending machine.
Yeah.
But and so I was like, that kind of like bummed me out too. I was like, oh, because I felt like I thought the city was going to be a lot more interactive in that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Granted,
with
of course,
this.
it would have been so fucking hard to make everything interactive. Like, I get it. But I think it all just kind of goes to show that, like, this game probably should have just been delayed till fucking spring or maybe a whole nother year again. So,
Oh, jeez. I think at a certain point, this game was just gonna have to be riddled with bugs. And like, the amount of QA testing that you get from a game like this doesn't really happen on the scale that it needs to until it gets released. Like,
yeah, of course. I get that. But also, I'm not even really talking about bugs either. I'm talking about, like, features that were taken out.
Sure.
And
that's
also the interactivity of, like, the world in itself and the AI and stuff. So,
true. Mhm.
and I just think it's just written all over that it should have just been delayed again. And so that's why now
I would agree with that.
yeah, that's why right now I'm kind of like, I haven't played Cyberpunk in like 5 or 6 days because I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, like, actually, I want to tell this story. This is funny. I told Matt about this, but so I pre-ordered the game at GameStop because I like having physical versions of my games. I don't typically like digital unless it's, of course, on PC. But if it's console, I always try to get a physical version, especially since it's CG Product Red. The normal physical edition literally comes with like a little compendium of the city. It comes with a map. It comes with stickers, like all this extra shit. Literally
pretty
just
slick.
for that's like that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, but even without that, like I'd still want a physical. But because of COVID and all that, they weren't handing out copies at 9 p.m. Pacific time like they usually do, which is understandable. And I was like, ah, damn. So I was like, I don't want to wait. So I bought the game fucking digitally on the night it released so I could play it at 9. Bought it digitally, and then I went to GameStop when they opened the next day to pick up my physical copy. So I basically have 2 copies of this game.
God damn.
No.
But what was funny, the only reason why I did that is I have a shit ton of coupons on my GameStop account, so I literally got Cyberpunk for $13.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh my god.
but then it was so it's like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll pay an extra $13 for the physical version, but then I was just playing on my digital copy. And then we all know places are starting to take refunds now for the game.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So PlayStation, Xbox, and I think Best Buy, and now even GameStop is. Well, I think it's not confirmed, but I think there have been reports that I believe workers have been getting emails or notes about it. And I remember I was just driving to work one day and it dawned on me, I was like, holy shit, I can return my digital copy.
Did you buy it
So
off Steam?
I returned it and I got a refund on my digital copy, but I still have my physical.
Nice.
So I basically got Cyberpunk for $13.
Very nice. Very
But
cool.
what I'm getting at is since I did that, I'm just kind of like, bro, I don't know. I think I just want to just wait for them to just patch shit now. Granted, I'm not saying I'm not having a good time with the game.
Mhm.
I am, but I just think it could just be so much better. And I feel like if I continue playing it and I beat it and I do what I want with it, then all the later on because this is the type of person I am. When I beat a game, I typically never go back to it unless it's like one of my favorite games ever. Of
Sure.
course, like
Yeah.
it. And granted, this could happen to this game, but I'm just not taking that chance because I want to be able to experience it at its fullest. And so I think as of right now, I'm kind of in the camp of I'm going to wait for it to be patched out. I'm going to wait for the next gen update to come out so I can have a next gen version of it on my Series X.
Yeah.
And that $60 that I got back, I could use it on like another fucking game.
Yeah. Totally.
And so that's why I just been continuing with my playthrough of Assassin's Creed right now. I'm like 38 hours into that game. So
God damn. Is that good? You enjoying that?
I'm loving Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I like most Assassin's Creed games. I understand if most people don't, but I like them. And then I was also thinking, I was like, well, with the $60, I could also get like other games that came out this year and because Cyberpunk was gonna take away my playtime from pretty much every game
Yeah,
that
pretty
I
much.
own. So I
It
figured
certainly is right now for me.
yeah. So I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna wait for it to be patched out and upgraded, and during that time, I can catch up on the other games, like finish Assassin's Creed. Maybe with the money I got back, I can actually pick up Hades because obviously you guys talk so highly of it. And then I also got fucking Fire Emblem 3 Houses on my Switch on sale for Black Friday. So I have that now. I just haven't started it. So I'm kind of like in the camp of, I think I'm just going to wait.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's the best call.
The thought that came up whenever you were talking about releasing all the patches and stuff. Whatever happened to? I mean, I don't know how big you. I know Ian, you played The Witcher 3 on release. I don't know if you, Ryan and Bryan, had played The Witcher 3 on release. But over the course, I believe it was a month or 2 months, they released what they called DLCs, but were like little micro inclusions of the game that increased that added a lot more items, that added a lot more quest lines, that added a lot more crafting capability and stuff like that. And I remember reading a few articles that were saying that CD Projekt Red was planning on doing that same thing with Cyberpunk on its release.
Yeah.
So are we going to be seeing anything like that anytime soon, or
Yeah,
are they really just trying to fix the game right now?
There is something else in the store. Let me
I can't.
see.
But you guys know
I
what I'm
can't
talking
remember.
about.
Yeah, I can't remember what article it was, but they did confirm that they are doing that. But because of the fiasco that it is right now, I think they're focusing a lot on patches right now. So I'm assuming patching the game has postponed those small DLCs.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think with how well Cyberpunk sold, they're absolutely going to release extraneous content, whether that be in the form of an expansion or just minor DLC packs. But yeah, absolutely, they have to work on fixing and optimizing the main game first before anything else.
Yeah. And I would like to say, like, I'm talking about, oh, like, I'm just going to wait now. That's even with me not really experiencing a lot of, like, issues with the game. Because the game runs pretty damn smoothly on the Series X. And there's a fidelity mode and a FPS mode. Like, I play on the performance mode, so it, like, you know, it's 60 frames constantly. I tried the fidelity mode, definitely looks better, but it locks it at 30. And after being in that 60 FPS, I'm like, yeah, I can't fucking play this. But it runs really well in performance, and I've only experienced a couple like glitches in which I think they're just funny. Nothing is, you know, it's not game breaking, but the last time I did play this game, it hard crashed my console though. Like,
Oh wow.
It crashed the entire console, not just crash to OS, you know.
Jesus. I don't think I've ever experienced a crash, on my computer at least.
That's
Um,
good.
Neither have I.
I'm running
That's
on.
good.
I had to bite the bullet, and I was like, all right, if I want to enjoy this game more, I want to enjoy it with more frame rate. So I'm gonna have to take this thing to low, and I did, and the game still looks pretty good, even on low settings. The game looks all right.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that upgrade because I know with the next gen upgrade, it's gonna have ray tracing with it. So you know, it'd be nice to see.
I am a fan of lighting. Good lighting makes any game look much better.
So are you guys feeling on? Are you guys gonna keep continuing to play it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely intend on playing it. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
the really big thing for me is that like I think CD Projekt Red did a really good job building the world that they were trying to build.
Definitely.
I think the world that I mean the level of immersion that I'm experiencing with the game couldn't be possible without the type of world that they built. I certainly agree with you on the level of interaction that you could have. I remember walking up to like a person who was selling hot dogs like they would on the side of Comic-Con whenever like people are leaving
Yeah.
the convention center.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have stopped and like gotten a hot dog. And even too, like whenever you sit down at like a ramen shop and like I believe they called it Japantown.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whenever you sit down at a ramen shop in Japantown, like you would sit down and like eat a bowl of ramen, but it just does what The Witcher 3 did, and it opens up a merchant
Yeah.
panel
And then
to
you
where
just
you
eat
buy
it from
the
your
food.
inventory.
And
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, okay, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But like I can look past I personally can look past those things. I can
Mhm.
look
Because-
past those things because when I'm walking
Yeah.
around, it really does feel like I am in this world. I feel like there's so much to explore. There is so much to do. One of the things that I do have an issue with, and this came to mind whenever you were talking about the lack of interactivity, is that like
Mhm.
if I'm not going to vendors and I'm not doing quests, what am I doing? And that was like kind of like the thing is like you like in The Witcher 3, like you could explore and you could find all of these really cool unique areas because like the world was so wide and far apart. And in Cyberpunk it's like outside of quests, I'm not really finding like there's that much to really do in the game.
Yeah, totally.
But
Witcher even had like Gwent.
think it's
Like
very
there was
relatable.
other
Yeah.
content other than just the main story.
Yeah.
Like Cyberpunk is very much just okay, here's a quest on the map. I go there, I get a call from my fixer. Hey, do this thing. All right, I did the thing. Here's the money for your account. All right, now I got to go do something else. That's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Or the main
But-
story. and that's it.
Also,
But something I do appreciate though is because I like the uniqueness of some of the missions though, like because I'm really involved with Pan Am's quest. I did the Nomad the backstory.
branch. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I did the Nomad
Oh,
backstory.
what do we
so-
all do, by the way?
I did
I did Corpo.
Corpo, really.
How-
I did
how-
I
is that?
did Corpo as well.
I did Street Kid.
and I did Nomad.
That's cool. I like that. We all did different things. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I was gonna do
Cool,
Street
I'm kind of glad
Kid.
that we all didn't do that. I'm kind
Oh,
of
go
glad we
ahead.
all didn't do the same
Yeah.
thing.
Go ahead and finish your thought, and then we can talk about the beginning stuff. now.
So I really like doing Pan Am's quest because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who Pan Am is yet.
I know who
but
she
I ran
is.
into her.
I've seen her online. I haven't met her in my game though.
She's a nomad.
Yeah.
And so you get to like kind of meet up with her clan and all of this different stuff, and it feels like your nomad background actually has a lot of significance whenever you're in this specific quest, whenever you're in this quest line.
Hmm.
So what I appreciate is that like when you complete certain markers in the main quest line, like let's say like you have to meet up with Takemura for a few times, and like you meet up with him and you do a little bit of that, then all of a sudden like all of the side quests that you were working on get updated. I personally really like that.
Hmm.
Like there comes to the point where it's like you can't progress too much in a side quest. I think it does a really good job controlling the pacing of the game. Like you could do like a little bit of side quests here, side quests here, side quests here, do a little bit of main quest, and then all of your side quests update, and you're able to do that again without just blasting through and finishing the main quest or blasting through and finishing all the side quests.
Okay, yeah.
And then you approach the final boss and you're like level 400,
Hmm.
you know. So I think the pacing of the game is really good too.
Did you beat the main story, Matt?
No.
Okay. I
No,
was just wondering.
I'm really taking my time with
Hmm.
with Cyberpunk.
Got it.
I remember I was gonna choose Street Kid the first time I was good about to play, but I think I was reading an article or like some sort of video about it on people who've played the game so far before it came out, and a lot of people were saying that I actually really liked the corpo stuff, just because it was, from the way they described it, I thought it was just, I don't know, I was like, that sounded like really cool, where it was you're like a corporate dude, but then you and Jackie had been lifelong friends, but Jackie is still the street kid, obviously, but you're the one who's moved up into the corporate world, but Jackie's like the one telling you like this isn't good for you pretty much, and you need to get yourself out of it.
And you
And
defect.
so, and yeah, and then basically then you
Well, you don't really defect. You're laid off.
yeah, pretty much.
That's a kind of
You pretty much just
defection.
get like laid off pretty much, and then from there
Your company's
you-
downsizing.
I say defect because purely how like the corporations are like militarized in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely.
And
there's
so
commentary,
then
yeah.
from there then you become like a street kid mercenary, and so you kind of have like this dichotomy of being in the corporate world, but now you're not part of it anymore, and you've like kind of like left it, and now you're just a mercenary. So I thought that was cool. But also one of the things that this leads in to that montage where it shows you and Jackie running a bunch of fucking gigs. Remember that montage?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
saw this and I was like, oh, this sucks, because a lot of that fucking game footage from that montage was used in trailers.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
A lot
I
of
hate
it.
when that happens.
And
Yeah,
so
like,
a lot of it was
I-
because it was all shown in first person perspective, and it shows in like the trailer, it showed like you chasing someone and then Jackie like ran into him and like hit him into a dumpster. Like I thought that was gameplay, but no, it was part of the montage. There's one part where it shows you shooting at
I
it showed
see.
in the trailer, it showed you shooting at guys in an alley, and you used your gun and threw it in the face of someone in the alleyway as you're shooting other people. Thought that was gameplay. Nope, it was part of that montage.
That'd be cool. if you could throw your
And that
gun.
happened like with 5 other scenes in that montage.
Yeah.
And so when I thought it was all gameplay from the trailer, but no, it was literally all of that was in that one montage, and I was like, oh, well, fuck. Like I guess I can't do any of that shit, you know? So
Yeah,
like,
that
I
was disappointing.
I was so
that's a bit of
disappointed.
a letdown.
I was so disappointed that you like did so little criming with Jackie that it's like you meet him as a player, not the character. You meet him in the prologue, in the prologue.
Mhm.
And then you do the job where you rescue the lady in the tub. And then you get the job from Dexter Deshawn. And
Mhm.
then you do 2 jobs to set up the actual job, and then Dexter is off the map, Jackie is off the map, T-Bug is off the map. Like everyone, the world just, that's your open world, right? The little light, the little light goes off above your head, and the captain says you may now move about the open world. Like that's when the game starts, and I'm just like, I wanted to spend way more time with them. Like I wanted to do multiple jobs with Jackie, like
And
Dex
T-Bug.
And T-Bug.
Like,
Yeah, I
Dex
like T-Bug a lot.
Dex first hears of you, and then he brings you on to do the biggest job he's ever done. The guy who's like hazing you in the car about who you are, about like whether you're reliable or not, like all this other stuff, for the biggest job he's ever run as a fixer. This guy who's supposed to be really, really jaded and really suspicious, and is supposed to play his cards really, really close to the chest, and there are things about the job he doesn't tell you, and the guy who doesn't really trust you. This is the guy who brings you on someone he doesn't know. To
Unfortunately, not the same voice actor, by the way. Very similar.
But I was so confused because I was like, man, the way the game was marketed, the way Jackie was marketed, I thought we were going to spend way more time with them.
Yeah,
and they're barely there. And then the game proper starts, and I get, Keanu Reeves in my head calling me a fucker, and this is
Hey,
the rest.
Don't
of
kink shame me.
I'm not saying bad. I'm saying I'm saying we take the time to flesh out all of these other characters, like their personalities. We know who Jackie's family is. We know Jackie's dating somebody. Like we know what T-Bug's personality is like. We know what Dexter Deshawn's personality is like. We know these characters. We develop them a little bit, not just what motivates them, but their values, right? What do they think of the city? How do they embody the themes of the city, right? Like, they're really rich thematically. And then they're immediately removed from the story. And I was like, what? Why lay all that groundwork?
Yeah.
To just axe them immediately. I was like, I wanted Jackie to be there for way longer. I wanted Dexter Deshawn and T-Bug to comment on the way our character was developing as the game went on, and it didn't do that.
But we also don't know the type of story that's going to progress from where we currently at in the game, because it seems like, Brian, you and I are kind of in the same spot in the main quest.
If the story is willing to build up narratively, contextually, a character like Dexter Deshawn, he's the biggest fixer in this part of the city. We've really made it big, and then just remove him from the story in an ungracious way, like they did. I'm like, okay, if you're willing to just throw that away, all that groundwork, all that work, I don't know how much I trust them to use the parts of the Buffalo they got, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
That tempered my expectations a lot in a bad way, I think. That now I'm a little jaded, but I can see that Nels is really set up like those characters are set up. Like right now, in where I'm at in the story, 30 hours in, Rogue, Pan Am, and Pan Am means Saul and Mitch. And none of those characters have had the characterization of Jackie or Dex. So maybe this is just where I wanted those characters to go, and the game doesn't want to use those characters like that, so I need to stop wanting the game to be something else and try to meet the game where it's at. That's a good amount of this, I think, is just me wanting the game to go in a different direction, wanting the story and characters to go in a different direction. So I have to temper that, right? It's not bad. It's just not what I wanted. But I also wish the conclusion of that end of Act 1 mission wasn't spoiled in the Cyberpunk trailers, because I think it would have hit a lot harder if I knew, like, doing the first big mission with Dex, or the only mission with Dex, and watching the trailer, I basically knew where it was going to go.
Yeah, exactly. So I was hoping, like,
agree.
oh, maybe that's just like one way it happens, but no, that's like how it always happens.
It's kind of concrete.
Yeah.
I got off pretty easy having not watched any of those trailers. So I was like, oh wow, I didn't think this was gonna happen. I thought it worked for me.
But no,
I really liked
the exact same thing is literally. Well, I mean, like you saw the Keanu Reeves reveal at Xbox. That was the.
Oh, but that was a year ago. I forgot all that.
Okay, because that
was
the
remember?
Cinematic trailer.
I remember Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that was the cinematic trailer where they're driving away in the car, and Jackie's in the car with them, and then you go back to the freaking the Notel Motel,
Right.
And
I remember that. Yes, I remember getting
Yeah.
betrayed by Dexter Deshawn. I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that and
So
being like, I
all
hope
of
that
that
doesn't
was
happen.
already fucking like shown pretty much.
Yeah, it was a foregone conclusion. I really wanted
Yeah.
it to not happen because I liked that character so much. I was like, man,
Yeah.
this guy's smooth. He's got a great voice. I like his like gold arm. But
Yeah.
eventually, it was just destined to lead to the same fate.
Uh-huh.
Because the truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Uh
I wanted to ask. So I started as a street kid. So that means that the beginning of my playthrough was like, there's the bartender and he says, "Hey, I'm way in debt. Can you go talk to my debtor and get yourself fixed up with a job that'll get me out of debt?" And V's like, "Fine, I'll do it." So you get fixed up with the job to steal a Delamain cab. And Jackie opens up the door and he's like, "All right, get out. I'm stealing this." As you're trying to steal it. And you're like, "What the fuck?" And then the police show up and they're like, "You're under arrest." So you and Jackie get arrested and the charges get dropped for whatever reason. And Jackie's like, "All right, that sucked. You want to grab a bite? No hard feelings?" And you're like, "Sure." That's how the street kid mode starts. Is
that was
similar?
like another reason why I didn't start Street Kid, because I heard that Jackie kind of like double crosses you at some point.
Yeah,
he and then you guys kind of forget about it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
pretty
that
much.
sounds like bullshit. So I don't
It's
want
a
to do
little
that.
uncharacteristic.
Yeah,
It's a
but
little
that also-
odd.
It also gets brought up-
The corpo background sounds like the most interesting, honestly. The Nomad
Yeah.
one was kind of boring.
Was it?
The
little bit.
corpo one does the most world building, considering how big a part of the story and theme and atmosphere and setting the corporations as these like political actors upon the city, these like active forces. It does the most to set that up of like understanding that the corpo story is how corpo be doing. Like that's how corporate agents operate. And that the dialogue options you get as a part of the corpo background kind of add the most flavor, kind of like color the world the most of like a character assuming a corporation is like this, or they comment on something and there's a corpo reaction of like, that's not how corporations work. They do this, this, and this.
Who do
That,
you
like,
work for?
You work for Arasaka,
Ah, I knew it.
which is a little awkward.
Oh, wow.
But I did the Nomad background and I did the Corpo background. And in the Corpo background, you know Jackie already, and you come to him with a job, and he says like, this job is too big. There's too much risk. Don't do it. And then that story, like the Corpo, that mission or the story kind of concludes really, really fast.
It does, yeah.
It feels like it's not more than 30 minutes, basically.
Because
but that's if you're not running around the office stealing everything that's not nailed down to people's desks. And the Nomad background, like, I started a Nomad character the other day, and I did the beginning of that, and at the end of that, Jackie was like, I wasn't going to pay you at all, so I'll pay you later. And he's like, well, okay, thanks, dickhead. And but it's like that because the beginning of the story, the game proper, not just the introduction, because that can only happen so many ways. It's going to be with Jackie and it's going to be with Dex. So it's like you have to be acquainted with him as a result of, like, it has to set some stuff up. And it's not like I don't like Jackie or that I like the idea of, some other set of characters being the big score, the big gig. But this would have been a shit ton of work. But if the beginning of the story up to Johnny Silverhand, if that had been different based on your origin story, like if Jackie was only your point of contact in the Street Kid story, and you had a different fixer, netrunner, and like companion, if you had different ones for the Nomad story, the Street Kid story, and the Corpo story, I think that would have been a shit ton of work, first and foremost. But
it would have made him feel way more unique.
Yeah, that like imagine imagine just the vast difference, and like doing the beginning of the story as Corpo and having good gear and having, you know, being well funded, having good equipment, having access to high level areas and all that stuff. And then like all of that kind of unravels as a part of the heist at the beginning of Act 1, and then you start the game proper at the same place as you would with the other ones, but just feeling the gap and the difference of like Street Kid might know more people, and like Nomad might be way more vehicle based, but then we have to talk about what the difference in play styles, like how different they should feel, like what they should accomplish, and that's, you know, we're fucking spitballing at this point.
Yeah. Well, we're running a little bit long here at this point for Cyberpunk. I'm glad we were able to talk so much about it.
We got a lot to
I'm
say.
surprised we were able to reach 2 hours with it.
Also,
Quickly, why the fuck can't you change your appearance at all? Like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god,
That should be
my
in the
biggest
game.
complaint.
Yeah,
I feel like you should be able to buy cyberware at Ripper Docks, but then,
Yeah.
but then
But then
again,
you
I feel
can't,
like you
like,
should also be able to look at your character more than like, I'm gonna go to a bathroom and I'm gonna specifically look in the mirror and I'm gonna scowl because I spent fucking 45 minutes in this character creator,
Yeah.
and I want to benefit
And-
from it.
But like you can't go change your fucking hair. Like for my character, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start corpo. I'm not gonna put any fucking weird cosmetic shit on my guy's face because I want to kind of role play as it like, oh, I kind of like become more and more a part of the city, so I start adding more shit to my body as I go on. But then you can't even fucking do that. I can't like add anything to my like, and there's no, because as a result of that, you can't go to other places and find new cosmetics. You know, it's all just the same shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm assured that they're gonna add something like that later, but I'm just kind of like, I feel like that's like even with like Geralt in The Witcher 3, it just feels like a step back. It's kind of like, well, Geralt could grow fucking facial hair and you needed to go get it trimmed like every once in a while, or you could grow it out, but why can't you do that in this game? I don't know.
Yeah.
totally.
What's like, how did we unsolve a problem that you guys already had a system for in The Witcher 3?
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like we're walking back on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in a game where I'm going to use one pistol over another pistol because it has 0.06 higher DPS, like cosmetically they're not different. It's like, okay, so this vest has 70 armor points in it, and that vest that flak vest has 30 armor points in it. So it's like, this feels really reg.
But this cotton t-shirt has 90 armor.
But this cotton t-shirt has
the
and this
style.
fucking fedora has 90 armor points in
The
it.
style of clothing in Cyberpunk is the absolute fucking worst.
Dude, at one point I had the stupidest, like I had a freaking like, I had like one of those stupid ass like moped helmets on.
Yeah.
And like some fucking like futuristic like Google Glass looking like goggles on. And I was like, I look like a fucking idiot. And like I had like my handlebar mustache poking out the sides of the fucking helmet.
Oh, that sounds great. I had this like biker getup, like everything looked really good. Like I had this like biker over jacket. I had this like nice undershirt. I had these like pointy ass spike boots, and then I had these like Elton John pink sunglasses.
My character for a long time looked like he was walking out of a 70s porno.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just last time I played, I connected my GOG account, and it gives you like a Witcher School of the Wolf like leather jacket that you can have, which looks pretty sweet.
It's
that's
super
pretty cool.
Yeah, so I've been wearing that and like some other shit it gives you. So my character doesn't look that bad anymore.
I found a fucking Matrix ass black leather duster.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, we're gonna
Nice.
do the cyberpunk thing. And then I immediately found a wife beater with twice the armor.
Hacker man.
Yeah, I immediately killed a mook on the street, and I got a piece of armor that's like a wife beater that had better armor on it. And I was like, I wanted to do the cyberpunk thing.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
God damn it.
You do the Cyberpunk thing. Don't tell the game how to dress or tell you how to dress. You do the thing.
So I went to a Ripper Doc and I got a subdermal implant for like 60 armor points, and I wore the coat and I did the cyberpunk thing.
Hell fucking yeah. Yeah, brother. I got that implant too. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I think we're about to call it wraps here on this episode of Two Fools Podcast. Thank y'all
we're
for
jacking
very
out.
much. We're jacking out. Take out
And-
your Ethernets from your wrists.
Our next episode is possibly going to be our Game of the Year's discussion, right?
Yeah, I think the next one is Game of the Year. I also, I'm saving this for the episode after Game of the Year, but I got an email, our email address. And if you want to email us and send us your questions, any questions will do at 2foolspodcast@gmail.com. That is 2 the number foolspodcast@gmail.com. Thank y'all very much for joining me, everybody. Bryan, Ian, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure.
What was the email?
Do we want to do the email?
We should
Wait,
have
was it a question?
It was a question.
we should have a bit at the end of every podcast where we answer questions from like Twitter or fucking Gmail or the Discord
I'm
server.
down for that.
That'd be cool.
We should turn it into a segment. is
Well,
what I'm saying.
If we want to answer the email, I got it right here.
Well, how much time do we got? It's 11 o'clock. It's 11:03.
I'm fine. I don't need to leave for work until 1 o'clock. So
I've been unemployed for 7 months.
What's another day? All right. Well, I got an email here.
All right,
as long as you
let's-
don't think it will take
let's-
too
let's
long
field it,
for
let's
us,
field
but
it.
I mean, it's fine. I don't care.
The email is from Special Circumstances. The question is, which game that you have played do you think has given you truly the most freedom of choice, the most agency with actual consequences for those decisions? If I had to answer that question, I would probably say Fallout New Vegas. Not because of the karma system, but because of the scuffle over New Vegas itself and the different branching paths. I think the first route I went with Mr. House, it's Mr. House, not Dr. House. And then I did NCR. Dr. House is a different person. He's played by a different actor, is what I would say.
That's a good answer. I would definitely agree with that as well. I'm trying to think of like another game though.
Yeah,
Mass
New Vegas
Effect.
just has so much freedom. Like, it really lets you do
Mass
whatever
Effect
you want.
1.
Mass Effect 1, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Mass Effect 1 and probably
Kirby
like Mass
Air Ride.
Effect and Mass Effect 2, and like Mass Effect 2 as well, because I can't really recall anything in Mass Effect 1. At least I know with Mass Effect 1, there's a decision near the end where there's like some sort of kind of like galaxy-wide space council that speaks for many different species in the galaxy, that you can choose to save them because they're in danger and on their ship, I think it is, or you can choose not to because you want to focus on your mission or something like that. And if you save them, then they're in the next 2 games. But if you don't, isn't it just like a council of humans for the next 2 games?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool seeing that like the consequences of the decisions that you would make in Mass Effect 1 actually had a significant impact on the rest of the narrative that happened in Mass Effect 2 and 3.
yeah,
Like, there are so many instances that, like, depending on what you did in Mass Effect 1, you might have a very different Mass Effect 3 than someone else who did a lot more or a lot less. And I thought that was cool seeing not just seeing the impact of your consequences, but also experiencing it for not just a one game, but for an entire trilogy.
yeah, and even in Mass Effect 1, there are certain characters that will die, and then they're not in Mass Effect 2 or 3, and it's just funny to think that they had to voice act this character and animate this character in certain situations that for many people and possibly even half the player base won't even be able to see, because if they connected their save, then they won't have that because that character's fucking dead. And then in Mass Effect 2, it has the infamous suicide mission at the end, and if you don't have enough like like bonding with certain characters in your squad, they'll just die and like at the last mission, or if you send them in the wrong area because there's certain like things like, all right, you send this character down there because he's good at leading a squad, or this character because he's really good at like hacking and tech. But if you choose the wrong person, they might fucking die because you chose like incorrectly or you didn't choose the right character to do so.
Or there will be complications in the mission.
Yeah.
But at my end note on Mass Effect, this isn't Mass Effect 1, but with the inclusion of the Renegade and Paragon interrupts in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a very unique narrative design, because like there would be moments when like Shepard would be getting like really angry at something, and the camera would pan and you'd see him like clenching his fists,
making the like
and,
Arthur yellow sweater.
Yeah.
yeah. And you could decide what you do with that. And some of those moments with those interrupts were very significant. That completely changed the direction of the narrative. And just like the very famous butterfly effect, everything from that would be significantly impacted from that one decision that you made, the way that you handled that conversation. And I think that's just very unique. And Mass Effect did a really good job with their storytelling and their dialogue.
Do you have an answer, Brian?
So in terms of like meaningful choices in gameplay, games like Just Cause, like where like you live with the consequences of all your actions, those big like sandbox games with really vague objectives, just talking about, you know, just meaningful consequences. Probably games like Just Cause. I think Just Cause 3 was the one that I played, on top of the overacted accents and characters, which I think are delightful. I think in terms of like a game like story decisions, probably Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah.
Oh my god. God.
Right? If you want to talk about your Kenny is not going to be my Kenny, because your Kenny might be fucking alive.
We gotta find the boat.
Because choices unravel and spiral out in ways that you can't predict. Like you can save someone who dies anyway, and you can condemn someone who lives anyway. And in terms of games reacting to your choices, probably those the Walking Dead Telltale games, but in a way, in games that, you know, don't make me feel like garbage. Probably New Vegas would be the most.
New Vegas is a big one. That's why it made it in our top 10. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
One of the reasons.
I would
it's definitely in my top.
I'm gonna posit fuck Ben from Walking Dead is what I'm gonna posit.
Wait, which one's Ben?
He's the twiggy teenager son of a bitch
one. Yeah,
that sells you out and lies about it compulsively. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Unless we have any final notes, gentlemen. Anything?
Oh, that fucker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just looked him up.
That bitch.
That son of a bitch. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Once again, we got emails at 2foolspodcast@gmail.com. Ask us any questions you got. We'll answer them. That's going to do it for the podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Later.
Bye.